Hello and welcome to another video by Simply English at mysimplyenglish.com. Today it is Halloween here in the United States, and although I know Halloween has already passed in much of the world, we're going to be talking a little bit today about what is Halloween and how we celebrate it here in America. So let's take a look. Oops, there we go. So what is Halloween? Well, in America, oftentimes people think of Halloween as being children dressed in costumes, trick-or-treating, and of course we celebrate it every year on October 31st. Every year it is celebrated on the last day of October. Now let's look back at trick-or-treating. What is trick-or-treating? Well, trick-or-treating is the custom of children going door to door, knocking and saying trick-or-treat. When they say trick-or-treat, they are telling the people who live there, please give us a treat, or we may just trick you. Now, tricks are not good, and in most of America today, tricking a person, which means to fool them or to play a trick on them, may even be illegal, depending on where you live and how severe the trick is. But if someone answers the door, it's usually an adult, they will give them, usually, candy. So the children will go door to door, knock, say trick or treat. An adult will answer the door and usually will give them candy. Now, it's not always candy. Sometimes an adult, the person who lives at that house or apartment, may give them a small toy or small gift of some sort. But most commonly, they will give them candy. And that's why children love this holiday so much, because they love to eat candy. Now, if you see in this picture here, just before we move on, a quick lesson in etiquette. You'll notice this woman, the adult, has her hand in the bowl about to give candy to each of these children in their little buckets. But these two children, younger children, are impatient and grabbing for the candy. Now, this is very poor etiquette and actually considered very rude in our country. So if you have children of your own, it would be best to teach them to be patient and allow the adult to give them the candy, or the adult may, let me make my video a little bigger, they may give the bowl to the children and let them choose the candy. But if the adult is giving the candy to them, the children should be patient, wait for the candy to be given to them, and then kindly say thank you. Okay, now let's move on. So this is, of course, a big no-no. Don't grab for the candy when the adult is about to give it to you. Now, why do we celebrate Halloween? Now, Halloween originates, there are a lot of factors that go into it, but the way that Halloween is celebrated today originates from the Celtic culture, which once spread across Europe, but is now found primarily in Scotland, Ireland, Wales, and some parts of France. And they believed that on Halloween, on October 31st every year, that the spirits or ghosts or unnatural, supernatural things would come from what they called the other world, some supernatural world where there's ghosts and demons and other scary things, through these little caves that they believed were the gateways to the other world. So ghosts and spirits would come out and roam the earth on Halloween. So the people of Ireland and Scotland, the Celtic people, would wear costumes or dress up or paint their faces a certain colors, used to fool or trick the evil spirits or ghosts, to think, I'm also an evil spirit or a ghost, so don't mess with me. So the people of Ireland, Scotland, etc., would dress up to fool or trick those evil spirits or ghosts coming from the other world. Now, the custom of trick-or-treating, the asking for candy, didn't come until later, and that came along with Christianity, which spread throughout Europe. And they had a custom called souling, where the children would also go door to door. Now, they wouldn't necessarily dress up in costumes, but they would go door to door, knock on the doors, they would sing songs, and ask for what's called a soul cake, which looks like this. It's a little biscuit or a little cake that has a cross on the top of it. And the children would, or sometimes other people as well, but the children would go door to door asking for these soul cakes as well as for water and other things. And in exchange, today we have trick or treat. You give me candy or I'll trick you. But at that time, souling would be celebrated in the sense that the children would ask for food and drink. And in exchange, if you give me food and drink, I will pray for the souls of your family members who have passed away. So it's sort of a give and take type of scenario where you give me food and I'll give your family prayers to help save their souls in the afterlife. Now today, trick or treat, or Halloween actually, is a very secular holiday. It's not just celebrated by the Christians, it's not just celebrated by the Celtic cultures of Ireland and Scotland, but it's celebrated throughout many countries throughout the world, mostly for fun. The people love to dress up in costumes. Children, of course, love candy, and it's really just a fun holiday to celebrate for all people, young and old. Now, where does the word Halloween come from? Exactly. What does that mean, Halloween? Well, November 1st on Catholic calendars is All Saints' Day, also known as All Hallows' Day. Hallows is another way of saying saints, which are the holy people of the Catholic Church. And the day before any holiday is called that holiday's Eve. So we have Christmas Eve, the day before Christmas. The day before New Year's is called New Year's Eve, etc. So the day before All Hallows Day would be called All Hallows Eve. And Eve comes from the word evening. It's a shortening of the word evening. So November 1st is All Hallows Day, which means October 31st is All Hallows Evening, which then shortens to All Hallows E'en. A long time ago, they shortened it to All Hallows E'en, which eventually comes to today's word of Halloween. So there are actually many, many words. Let me make my picture a little bigger. There are many, many words which over time have been shortened or changed or formed in different ways over centuries. And this is one of those words. It went from All Hallows Evening to All Hallows Eve, and eventually came to be All Halloween, or Halloween as we call it today. And that happens a lot with many of our words in English. So let's move on. Here you see a pumpkin that's carved, and actually we call this a jack-o'-lantern. We'll get to that in a little bit later. Other traditions of Halloween, which include more than just dressing up in costumes and children going door to door trick-or-treating, include costume parties. So although Halloween is primarily a holiday for children, adults and older people also love to celebrate Halloween for the costume parties where they can dance and drink alcohol and have fun, dress up in their own costumes as well. Here you can see quite a large costume party happening with music and dancing and costumes as well. So it is a holiday not just for the children, but for all people of all ages. Other people, like myself, like to stay home and watch scary movies, or sometimes go to the theaters and watch scary movies. Here you see this woman watching a scary movie and a scary shadow in the background. Here, a whole family, including the dog, cat, and a mouse, are all on the couch watching a scary movie, looking quite frightened. And while we're on it, I also found this humorous picture online of a dog who looks quite scared as well. In fact, it makes me laugh even now. So, scary movies is another tradition of Halloween, and in fact, throughout the entire month of October, you'll see scary movies on TV or in the movie theaters. Now, once Halloween is over and it goes into November, all those scary movies seem to go away, and we focus on our next holiday, which is Thanksgiving, which we'll talk about another day. Another tradition is this, the jack-o'-lantern. Jack-o'-lantern is any carved gourd, usually a pumpkin, squash or turnip, etc., with a light inside. So here we do have a pumpkin carved out to make a face, and a candle is lit inside. Here are some other carved pumpkins, which we call jack-o'-lanterns. And let's take a look at the history of the jack-o'-lantern. What is a jack-o'-lantern? Well, it originated in Ireland with carved turnips. They used to carve these turnips or big radishes into faces. And this one's quite scary. They were used to represent spirits or other supernatural beings, so they'd carve the faces of the spirits. They were also used to ward off or scare away evil spirits, so that people would carry them around hoping to scare away the evil spirits. Sometimes they may even place them on their window seals to try to scare away the evil spirits from their home. And I'm certain if they saw a jack-o'-lantern like this one, it would scare away anything. And lastly, a lot of children, mischievous children, troublemakers, would use these jack-o'-lanterns to scare people. They'd follow people around and pop out and scare them with the jack-o'-lanterns. It was later brought to America. This idea of carving gourds, especially turnips, was brought to America through Irish immigrants, and they found that pumpkins, which are very common here in the United States, are larger and easier to carve and do very well as jack-o'-lanterns. So here you can see we even use them on a cake just for decorative purposes. This one is one of my favorites I saw online, where they have it carved into different puzzle pieces. It looks just like the icon from Wikipedia, in fact, and you have this different symbols from different cultures and different languages. Well, that about wraps it up for Halloween today. There is, in fact, before we move on, there is a story behind why we call it Jack-o'-lantern, and that story is about Stingy Jack, which unfortunately would take much too long to go into today, but maybe I'll make a video about that soon, or maybe for next year. It's Halloween. But the term Jack of Jack-o'-lantern comes from the story of Stingy Jack, who played tricks on the devil, and later was punished quite severely for playing those tricks. Now, before we end today's today's video, I'd like to introduce you to some Halloween music. One of the most famous songs in our culture when it comes to Halloween is called the Monster Mash. So I'll play this for you and end today's lesson with this song. Thank you, and as always, take care. If you like these videos or would like to see more videos related to English or American culture, please hit the subscribe button here on the left or down below. And visit us at Simply English by visiting www.mysimplyenglish.com. Thank you, and as always, take care. In this time period after or AD